Well, hey everyone, and welcome back to Tactical Review. So I've done a little bit of informal surveying, and I found out that everyone seems to agree that one of the least tactical things you can do is to die due to exposure simply because you do not know how to build a fire in your situation. So I thought that, as you can tell from the title of this video, that we would cover kind of an entry level fire building video and try to prepare you guys for the worst case scenario. So survival experts that I have looked into all seem to agree that you should carry on your person multiple forms of fire making ability. A fire is one of the more basic essentials if you find yourself out and away from civilization. So what I have started doing, and I apologize for hitting the microphone, is I carry a ferro rod on a necklace. You can also put those on keychains or whatever. And dig here in my pocket, a rechargeable plasma lighter. And then of course you can add matches, or you can add cheap little Bic lighters. The possibilities are endless. Now, carrying fire on a regular basis is not something that I've necessarily focused on. I am a little bit of a firebug. I am, however, not, nor have I ever been a smoker, so that's not ever really been important to me. So anyway, as I have become kind of more survival minded, that's something that I've been working on changing. And it doesn't take a lot. You're not adding a lot of weight to add these couple of things. Now, I am going to suggest that you add just a couple more things though to your EDC, and you can carry more obviously in like a get home bag, but you should carry something to help you to actually get the fire going. And my suggestion, after just a little bit of research, is 100% cotton balls. Bag of 100 cost about 90 cents, and a tub of 100% petroleum jelly. So I'm going to roll in some quick B-roll. I tested, this is basically a DIY survival candle. I tested burning just the cotton ball. I tested burning some dryer lint, and then impregnating each with just a little bit of petroleum jelly. So check this out. As you can see, the addition of just a little bit of petroleum jelly makes those fire starters burn 3 to 4 times longer. And when you look at the plain cotton ball versus the plain dryer lint, I think that the reason that the petroleum impregnated dryer lint burned longer was mostly because I got a little bit more petroleum jelly into that. So anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to get down here a little bit closer to the ground, into a fire pit, and we're going to go over just a little bit of how to make your fire base, and try to get you guys set up for success if you ever find yourself out and needing to make shelter. All right, hopefully you can see what's going on here. For an actual like campsite fire, I would use larger logs, but you just want some sticks big enough to get your fire base up off the ground. This is going to give us room to get our fire starting candle underneath our lower tinder. And in the case of wet situations, obviously it's going to get that up off of the wet ground, out of any potential puddles. All right, on top of that, we're going to want some smaller, finer stuff. This is going to be what catches first. So we're just going to lay that crossways there. And then we're going to build kind of a log cabin style of structure. What that's going to allow for is different layers of our fire base that as the flame takes hold, they will catch more quickly. All right, as we continue building up, we're going to start using some larger diameter stuff. Again, we're still going to want to be crisscrossing back and forth. That gives us also some airflow because what you need for a fire are a fuel source. In the final form, that will of course be the wood. You need an ignition source, we've already talked about that, and you need oxygen. All right, and then for our demonstration, we're not going to go any larger than sticks like this. Obviously, you could build this up and then do a TP style of fire above it, allowing for that to catch. But for purposes of this video, we're going to stop here. One more thing that we're going to want is a flat half of a stick or something. We are going to actually set our survival candle onto that so that it will keep it up off of the ground and it'll make sure that the flames can actually contact those lower levels of kindling. Now the cool thing is with the petroleum jelly that it's not typically flammable. If I struck sparks down into this, I'm not going to have a fireball, so that makes it nice to use in a survival candle type situation. So here's what's happening. As you saw in that little B-roll clip here a couple minutes ago, the cotton balls take spark and flame up very quickly, but then burn out in less than a minute. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a good dollop of our petroleum jelly, and the petroleum jelly in its semi-solid form here isn't going to want to burn. But what happens is our cotton does burn, which causes the petroleum jelly to melt. Well, even the liquid petroleum jelly doesn't want to burn very readily. But what happens is, as that fire continues to burn in the cotton, it starts vaporizing that liquid. And the gaseous petroleum jelly burns very readily, and that gives us a steady source of flame for several minutes. So let's see if, without any kind of matches, without any other accelerant, if we can get this to take flame. FYI, in a survival situation, obviously there's no such thing as cheating. So if you have hand sanitizer or a little bit of gasoline to help get things going, by all means take advantage of that. Do be safe though. Keep in mind, if you're in a survival situation, you don't want to add second and third degree burns to your problems. All right, so we're going to set that there. And I'm going to use the ferro rod and my handy dandy lockback folding knife. One spark took flame very readily, and we're just going to slip this underneath here, like so. It's going to start burning up through that stuff, and voila! Got a very healthy fire already starting to take hold. Now you might say, but Blair, that's all good and fine. So you made fire on a beautiful, if a little bit windy day, sun's shining, birds are chirping, but your survival situation might not be quite so ideal. That's a good point. So let's put together another fire base here, shall we? Regardless of your situation, you're going to want to do the same setup. Finer stuff on bottom, followed by slightly bigger stuff. Want to make sure that I keep room to get my candle underneath there. A little bit bigger. And then biggest stuff on top. And what if it has been raining literal buckets? I'd say this is about literal worst case scenario. I could be wrong, and I guess you're gonna have to trust me that's water and not gasoline. You did just see me extinguish the last fire with it. So in this situation, when you are getting your cotton balls out, if it's still raining, you're going to want to protect those with your body. Your ferro rod will still spark even if it's wet, but the wet cotton won't want to take. All right, same thing. Petroleum jelly on your cotton ball. And I'm using 2 cotton balls and just sandwiching it between. You could rip a cotton ball in half, take our ferro rod, take our knife, spark it up, and then put our candle down here underneath this very wet campfire. And this shows why you want to definitely make sure that you're using a half of a stout stick to keep your candle up off of that ground, because in this case that ground was soaking wet. And obviously if it was still raining, if you had a jacket or something, you'd want to get up over your fire, because what we're doing is this candle is trying to dry out that kindling on the bottom. So we're going to give this here a couple minutes and we're going to see if we can get flame going. And you always want to make sure that the flame from your candle is in contact with those lower layers of kindling. And I see what my problem is. My survival candle has fallen off of that little stick that I started with. So, again, there's no cheating in a survival situation. I'm going to build another one and continue the experiment. Because I've actually never built a fire using wet wood, so this is in fact an experiment. I can actually hear the water sizzling off of these sticks that are in here. And if you were dealing with a lot of wet wood, you would want to start bunking up more wood around this to let it be facing the fire and dry out. Looks like our second layer is starting to catch at this point. And once again, I would have a larger fire base were I trying to actually build a fire for a campsite. All right, well, that's still taking hold. Kind of want to talk about how you might utilize this information, because you're probably not going to want to walk around with a jar of petroleum jelly in one pocket and a bag of cotton balls in the other. Might get some funny looks. What I would recommend is taking cotton balls and making a little survival candle sandwich the way you saw me do, and then placing those in an empty mint tin. Altoids or the round plastic tins that you can get. That gives you something you can keep in your pocket, and that can store, if it takes 1 or 2 to start a fire, you can get several fires worth of survival candles out of that. If you have a bug out bag or a get home bag, by all means either make up a bunch of those and put those in Ziploc bags to help protect them from the water, or you can then at that point keep a whole bag of cotton balls and a whole jar of jelly in your bag. And as you can see, with just 4 cotton balls and a little bit of time, even that wet wood has taken off into a pretty decent fire base here. So thanks for joining me today. God willing, none of us will ever have to have the information that we've learned here today. But it's always better to have knowledge and not need it than to need knowledge and not have it. Guys, if you'd like to support what I do here at Tactical Review, the best way to do that is directly through Patreon, using this username that's on your screen now. If you're not in a position to directly support the channel, but you'd like to do something to help, and you're looking for some 2A merchandise, you can pick that up over at the Tactical Review merchandise shop. Every purchase there does support the channel with a few dollars, and you get really nice t-shirts to show off your right to keep and bear arms. If you're not following the channel on social media, you should be doing that. You can use the usernames that are up on your screen right now to follow the channel on Facebook and Instagram. Finally, guys, if you haven't yet, I'd appreciate a thumbs up on the video. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel, and if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you ring that notification bell so you see when I upload new content. Guys, thanks for watching, and until next time, shoot straight, stay safe.